Erotic escapades. Welcome to our channel, where we flirt with the mind and bring your deepest desires to life through stories. Today we have a really erotic story that unfolds in a very strange place. Elena gets to discover her deepest desires whilst empowering herself and becoming the woman she was meant to be. Will she survive this journey? Let's find out together. Please remember to subscribe if you enjoy the story. In the heart of a bustling city, tucked away in an exclusive, dimly lit club, secrets thrived, and passions ran wild. The club was called the Velvet Room, a place where desires knew no limits and fantasies turned into reality. Only a select few were granted entry, and tonight, Alex and Elena found themselves walking through its grand velvet doors. The couple had heard whispers about the Velvet Room, how it catered to the hidden desires of its guests, offering them experiences they could only dream of. As they stepped inside, they were met with a luxurious interior. Plush red velvet lined the walls, candlelit chandeliers hung above, casting a seductive glow over everything, and the scent of roses lingered in the air. Alex, tall and with an air of quiet confidence, intertwined his fingers with Elena's as they walked deeper into the club. Elena was the epitome of elegance and allure. Her raven-black hair cascaded down her shoulders, framing her pale, delicate features. Tonight, she wore a sleek black dress that hugged her curves, and her eyes sparkled with anticipation. They were greeted by Lydia, the hostess of the Velvet Room. Lydia was known for her beauty and poise. Dressed in a deep burgundy gown that left little to the imagination, she led the couple through a winding corridor, speaking in soft, alluring tones. "Welcome, Alex and Elena," Lydia purred, her voice dripping with sensuality. "Tonight, you will experience something truly unforgettable. Let me show you the way." They entered a private room, adorned with luxurious cushions, silk drapes, and dimmed lighting. A low table was set with fine wine, strawberries, and rich chocolate. The atmosphere was electric, and Elena could feel the heat rising between them. Lydia smiled mischievously. "This room is designed to heighten your senses, to explore one another in ways you never thought possible. You are free here." With that, Lydia disappeared into the shadows, leaving Alex and Elena alone. Alex took a step closer to Elena, his hand brushing gently against her arm, sending shivers down her spine. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice low and husky. Elena looked up at him, her heart racing. "More than ever," she whispered, feeling her desire building. The night unfolded like a dream. They explored each other with a new intensity, every touch, every caress more electrifying than the last. The room seemed to pulsate with the energy between them, as though it were alive, feeding off their passion. Elena moved closer, her lips brushing against Alex's ear as she whispered, "Let's see what else this place has to offer." Intrigued, they left the private room and ventured into the heart of the Velvet Room, where they discovered a maze of hidden chambers and secret passageways. Each door led to a new experience, rooms filled with tantalizing sights and sounds, where the boundaries between pleasure and fantasy blurred. One room was filled with mirrors that reflected every angle of their bodies as they moved together in sensual rhythm. Another was bathed in soft, golden light, where the scent of jasmine and sandalwood heightened their senses, and their connection deepened. But it wasn't just the physical intimacy that consumed them, it was the emotional intensity. In that night of erotic escapades, Alex and Elena found themselves connecting on a deeper level, revealing their innermost desires to one another. They had always shared a strong bond, but the Velvet Room allowed them to reach new heights, to experience a kind of passion they had only dreamed of. As the night wore on, they found themselves in the final room, a grand suite with a four-poster bed draped in luxurious silk. Elena lay back on the bed, her breath heavy with desire, as Alex moved towards her, his eyes filled with lust and love. He kissed her deeply, his hands roaming her body with a tenderness that made her tremble. "You are everything to me," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Elena's eyes glistened as she looked up at him, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. "And you are my everything," she whispered back, her heart swelling with love. Their bodies moved together in perfect harmony, the night air filled with their soft moans and whispered confessions. Time seemed to stand still as they lost themselves in each other, their passion consuming them entirely. When the morning light began to filter through the curtains, they lay entwined, spent but completely fulfilled. The velvet room had given them more than just a night of pleasure, it had brought them closer than ever before, deepening their love and connection in ways they hadn't thought possible. As they left the club, hand in hand, they knew that the velvet room had changed them. Their erotic escapades were just the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship, one filled with adventure, passion, and a deeper understanding of one another. With a shared glance, they smiled, knowing that their journey had only just begun. As Alex and Elena walked out of the velvet room, the sun was beginning to rise, casting a soft golden light across the city. The world outside felt different, as if it had been transformed by the experiences they had shared. The air was crisp and fresh, a stark contrast to the intoxicating heat of the club. They strolled through the quiet streets, their fingers entwined, savoring the intimacy of their connection. Every touch, every glance between them carried a new depth, a silent promise of exploration and desire that would continue beyond the walls of the velvet room. Elena glanced at Alex, her eyes full of wonder. "I can't believe how much this night has changed us." Alex smiled, his gaze tender. "It's like we've unlocked something new in ourselves and each other. I feel more connected to you than ever before." They decided to stop at a quaint cafe, nestled in a charming corner of the city. As they sipped their coffee and nibbled on pastries, the conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and playful teasing. They talked about their favorite moments from the night, sharing their thoughts and feelings with an openness that had been deepened by their experiences. "Elena," Alex said, taking her hand in his, "I want us to keep exploring our desires and passions, but not just in places like the velvet room. I want us to create our own adventures, wherever we are." Elena's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I'd love that. Let's make every moment an adventure, whether it's a grand escapade or just a quiet evening together." They spent the rest of the day wandering through the city, exploring hidden gems and discovering new places. Each experience was filled with a sense of wonder and excitement, reflecting the new energy they had found in their relationship. As evening approached, they returned to their apartment, still buzzing from the day's adventures. The apartment felt like a sanctuary, a private space where they could continue their journey of discovery and intimacy. Alex set the mood by lighting candles and playing soft, romantic music. Elena watched with a smile, feeling a wave of affection for him. When he finally joined her, they shared a quiet, tender moment, their bodies pressed close as they talked about their dreams and desires for the future. End speech. "I want us to keep pushing boundaries, to explore new things together," Elena said softly, her fingers tracing patterns on Alex's chest. "And I want us to always be as open and honest as we've been tonight." Alex kissed her forehead gently. "We'll make that promise. Let's keep this connection alive, in everything we do." As the night deepened, they lost themselves in each other once again, their love and passion burning brightly. The experiences from the velvet room had not only intensified their physical connection but had also strengthened their emotional bond. They felt more aligned with each other's desires and dreams, ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead. With every touch, every kiss, and every whispered word, they celebrated their newfound closeness, cherishing the journey they were on together. The escapades they had embarked upon were more than just physical, they were a testament to their love, their trust, and their commitment to exploring every facet of their relationship. As they drifted off to sleep in each other's arms, they knew that this was only the beginning. Their erotic escapades had opened a door to endless possibilities, and they were eager to step through it, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever came next. The days that followed their night at the velvet room were filled with a new sense of excitement and playfulness. Alex and Elena discovered that their connection had deepened in ways they hadn't expected. They felt more attuned to each other's needs, both emotionally and physically. Every touch seemed more electric, every glance more meaningful. One evening, as they lounged on the balcony of their apartment, overlooking the city skyline, Elena turned to Alex with a mischievous smile. "I've been thinking," she said, her voice soft but full of intrigue, "about where we go from here. We've explored so much already, but there's still so much more we could experience. Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the glint in her eyes. What did you have in mind? Elena's smile grew wider as she leaned in closer. I was thinking we could plan our own private escapades. Something just for us, places we've never been, things we've never tried. Alex's interest was piqued. Tell me more, he said, his tone matching her excitement. Elena stood up, pacing the balcony with graceful, feline movements as her mind raced with ideas. What if we took a trip, somewhere secluded and far away from the city? A place where we could lose ourselves in the moment, away from distractions. No phones, no schedules, just us. We could create our own fantasies, let our imaginations run wild. The idea thrilled Alex. I like the sound of that. Somewhere remote, with no interruptions. Just you, me, and the world we create together. That night, they stayed up late, planning their getaway. They imagined a secluded beach house tucked away on a private island, where the sun kissed the ocean, and the only sounds were the crashing waves and the whisper of the wind. A place where they could explore every facet of their desires, uninhibited by the constraints of everyday life. When they finally found the perfect spot, a luxurious yet intimate retreat, they booked it without hesitation. The anticipation of their upcoming trip ignited a spark in both of them, and their excitement for the adventure ahead only deepened their bond. The days leading up to the trip were filled with whispered secrets and playful teases. They would leave notes for each other with cryptic messages, hinting at what they had planned. Their connection was charged with a sense of discovery, and even the simplest gestures became layered with desire. Finally, the day arrived. They packed light, just enough for the essentials, knowing they wouldn't need much. The island would provide everything else, the warmth of the sun, the serenity of the sea, and the perfect backdrop for their exploration. As the plane touched down on the small, private airstrip, Alex and Elena exchanged a glance, their excitement palpable. A short boat ride later, they arrived at their beachside villa, nestled among palm trees and surrounded by crystal-clear waters. The villa was everything they had imagined. Open and airy, with large windows that framed the breathtaking view of the ocean, it exuded an intimate charm. There was a large canopy bed draped in white linen, and outside, a private pool that overlooked the beach. It felt like paradise. Elena walked to the edge of the pool, dipping her toes into the water. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the horizon. She glanced back at Alex, her eyes filled with longing. This is perfect, she whispered. Alex joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind, his lips brushing the nape of her neck. It's everything I imagined and more. The first night on the island was filled with slow, sensual discovery. They moved together in the warmth of the evening, their bodies in perfect sync as they explored each other's deepest desires. There was no rush, no pressure, just a shared journey of pleasure and intimacy. In the days that followed, they found new ways to deepen their connection. They spent their mornings swimming in the ocean, the cool water refreshing against their skin. In the afternoons, they lounged by the pool, their conversations drifting between light-hearted banter and whispered confessions. And in the evenings, they created their own sensual rituals, letting the rhythm of the island guide them. One afternoon, as they lay on the beach, the sun high in the sky, Elena turned to Alex with a daring look in her eyes. Let's try something different, she suggested, her voice low and sultry. Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you have in mind? Elena smiled and stood up, taking his hand and leading him towards the edge of the water. The waves lapped gently at their feet as she pulled him close, her body pressing against his. I want us to make love here, she whispered, her voice filled with desire. Out in the open, with nothing between us and the world. Alex's heart raced at the thought. The idea of being so exposed, so free, excited him in ways he hadn't expected. Without hesitation, he kissed her deeply, their bodies sinking into the warm sand as the ocean breeze wrapped around them. The sensation of the sun on their skin, the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, and the taste of salt on their lips heightened every moment. It was as if they were the only two people in the world, lost in their own private paradise. Their lovemaking was wild and untamed, fueled by the raw energy of the island. Every touch, every movement was charged with intensity, as they gave themselves over to the moment completely. The world around them seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them, intertwined in their passion. When it was over, they lay together on the sand, the warmth of their bodies mingling with the heat of the sun. They were breathless, their hearts racing, but completely at peace. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated connection, unlike anything they had ever experienced before. As they lay there, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Elena turned to Alex with a contented smile. "This is what I've always wanted," she whispered. "To be with you like this, free and unafraid, exploring every part of ourselves together." Alex kissed her softly, his hand gently brushing her cheek. "We'll keep doing this, Elena. No matter where we are, we'll keep finding new ways to connect, to explore, to love." And in that moment, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky above them, Alex and Elena knew that their erotic escapades were far from over. Their love was a journey, one filled with adventure, discovery, and endless possibilities. The next morning, the island greeted them with a soft, golden sunrise, casting its warm light over the tranquil waves and the palm trees swaying gently in the breeze. Alex and Elena awoke in each other's arms, the memory of the previous day lingering like the taste of honey on their lips. The world outside their villa seemed to move slowly, as if time itself was giving them the space to enjoy every moment of their private paradise. Elena stretched luxuriously in the bed, her body still humming with the thrill of their shared experiences. She turned to Alex, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Last night was incredible," she whispered, tracing her fingers along his jawline. "But I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what this island has to offer." Alex smiled, his hand moving to her waist, pulling her closer. "Oh? And what more do you have in mind?" he asked, his voice low and teasing. Elena sat up, her hair cascading over her shoulders as she gazed out at the ocean. "I think it's time we explore the rest of the island. We've stayed close to the villa, but I can't help but wonder what's hidden in the jungle, or maybe along those cliffs we saw from the boat." Alex's pulse quickened at the thought. The island had a wild, untouched beauty, and the idea of exploring its secrets with Elena by his side was intoxicating. "I like the way you think," he murmured, kissing her bare shoulder. "Let's make today another adventure." They spent the morning preparing, packing a light bag with essentials, water, snacks, and a blanket for any unexpected detours. Elena slipped into a flowing white dress that clung to her curves, the fabric light and airy in the tropical heat, while Alex opted for a pair of loose linen pants and a simple white shirt. The simplicity of their attire only enhanced the sense of freedom they felt, as though they were leaving behind the weight of the world to step into something purely their own. The path they took led them through a dense forest of vibrant green, where the sound of birds and the rustling of leaves surrounded them in a soothing symphony. The air was thick with the scent of tropical flowers, their sweet fragrance mingling with the salty tang of the sea in the distance. As they walked, Elena's hand found Alex's, and they moved in sync, their steps light with the thrill of the unknown. After what felt like hours of wandering, they emerged from the jungle onto a secluded beach, untouched by civilization. The sand was soft and white, stretching endlessly in both directions, with dramatic cliffs rising in the distance. The ocean here was a deep turquoise, shimmering under the midday sun, its waves crashing gently against the shore. Elena let out a soft gasp of delight. "It's perfect," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Alex nodded, unable to tear his gaze away from the beauty of the place, or from Elena herself, standing there with the wind in her hair, the sunlight casting a golden glow over her skin. "Absolutely perfect," he echoed, his voice filled with awe. Without another word, Elena dropped the bag and took off running towards the water, her laughter carried on the breeze. Alex watched her for a moment, his heart swelling with love and desire, before he quickly followed, chasing her across the sand. They reached the water's edge, where Elena spun around, her dress swirling around her as Alex caught her in his arms. Their laughter mixed with the sound of the waves as they tumbled into the surf, the cool water splashing around them. Elena's hair clung to her face, wet and wild, and her dress became translucent, revealing the curves of her body beneath. She gazed up at Alex, her breath coming in quick, excited bursts, her lips parted slightly in anticipation. "I can't believe how beautiful this place is," she said softly, her fingers tracing the lines of his chest. Alex smiled, his heart pounding in his chest. "Not as beautiful as you," he whispered, leaning in to kiss her deeply. Their kiss was slow and sensual, filled with the raw passion they had discovered in each other. The world around them seemed to fade away as they lost themselves in the moment, their bodies pressed together, the ocean swirling around them. But this time, there was something different. It wasn't just the physical connection, they were exploring a new level of intimacy, one that went beyond desire and into something deeper. As they kissed, Alex felt as though he were seeing Elena for the first time, truly understanding her in ways he hadn't before. And from the way she responded to him, he knew she felt the same. Eventually, they pulled away, breathless and flushed, their foreheads resting against each other. "This is everything I ever wanted," Elena murmured, her voice filled with emotion. "To be with you like this, without any barriers, just us and the world around us." Alex nodded, his hand gently cupping her face. "Me too, Elena. You're my everything." They spent the rest of the afternoon on the beach, exploring the cliffs, swimming in the ocean, and lounging in the sun. Every moment felt like a stolen treasure, a memory they would carry with them forever. The island, with its wild beauty and hidden secrets, had become their playground, a place where they could be free to explore not only the world around them but the depths of their connection. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant shades of pink and orange, they spread the blanket on the sand and lay down together, watching the stars slowly appear in the darkening sky. The warmth of the day lingered in the air, and the sound of the waves provided a soothing backdrop to their quiet conversation. Elena turned to Alex, her eyes glowing with contentment. "I don't ever want this to end," she said softly, her fingers entwining with his. Alex kissed her hand, his heart swelling with love for the woman beside him. "It doesn't have to," he replied. "We'll carry this with us, wherever we go." And as they lay there under the stars, their bodies intertwined, they knew that their erotic escapades were not just a fleeting fantasy, but a part of who they had become together. Their love, their passion, and their shared journey would continue, always evolving, always deepening, an adventure without end.